Welcome to Never Too Late for Fitness Radio, bringing baby boomers proven strategies and innovative products for getting fit, staying fit, so you can live a longer, healthier, and happier life. Here's your host, best-selling author and fitness advocate, Phil Ferris.
This is Phil Ferris, and welcome to our show. Never Too Late for Fitness Radio provides answers and straight talk about fitness, nutrition, and healthy lifestyles for people over 50. Our goal is to educate and advocate health and fitness strategies that help you to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. On some shows, we feature everyday people like you and me who have acted and reclaimed their health and fitness. We all love a success story, especially if the person is facing the same challenges we are. Hearing real success stories helps inform, motivate, and inspire us to live a healthier life. On other shows like today's, we focus on health and fitness industry professionals who share how they help their clients who are over 50 achieve their goals. My guest today is Phil Squatrito, also known as Coach Squats. He is the head coach and owner of Training for Warriors, Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. He has over 18 years of experience in physical fitness and has helped thousands of people lose fat, build muscle, and feel great about themselves again. He believes that with the right coaching, culture, community, and training program, everyone can achieve so much more, not only in the gym, but in the battlefield called life. Phil believes the world needs more great coaches, leaders that preach what they practice and uphold a set of core values that help people stand for something more. He has an extraordinary passion for physical fitness and loves to bring out the best in people. Phil says enthusiasm is one of his greatest strengths, and it's something every one of us needs in our lives in order to grow. He also feels that life is full of challenges, and in order to overcome many of them, we all need to be armed with our physical and mental strength, which only improves through training. If you make time for physical fitness, Phil says, you will have more energy and time for everyone and everything else in your life. Outside of fitness, Phil is blessed with an incredible wife and 3 amazing young daughters and an infant son. Family time is what Phil treasures most. Okay, thanks, Coach Squats, for being on the show. Now, you train people of all ages. You got teenagers, you got people that are over 70, and your workouts, as I know, are very challenging, very intense. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what you do and why do people over 50 seek you out and train with you?
Well, thanks for having me, Phil. I think it's a combination of things. I think, more and more people are realizing that if you want to do the things as long as you can in your life, play with your grandkids, play golf, be physically active, physically fit, then the older we get, we really need to make sure we are putting in the work to stay fit, stay strong, and stay healthy. And as you know, as we get older, we lose muscle mass each year, bone density starts to decrease, and strength and conditioning is going to help preserve and continually build those things so we can do what we set out to do in our everyday life as long as we possibly can. Okay.
Now, one of the biggest things that people over 50 are concerned about, one is they want to get fit, they usually want to lose some weight, and they don't want to get injured. So how do you go about adapting your workouts so that those things are accomplished?
Yeah, so great question. And the first thing we always start with is a screening, and we sit down with all of our students, and depending on what their goals are and their injuries, because most people, as we go through life, we're not in mint condition. So most people have something going on with their bodies, a previous injury or just things that accrued over the course of time. So it's important that we really deep dive into those issues and see how we can work around them and get the result in spite of them. And some of the things are corrective through the training, but ultimately our program is not cookie cutter. It's not a one size fits all. Although it is group, it is very individualized based on that person's limitations or abilities or level of fitness. And after the screening, we have an idea of exactly who these individuals are and how we can help them the most. But all of our training sessions always start with a very, very deep warm-up to get the connective tissue, to get the muscles and all the systems of the body ready to train. And again, everybody's not built the same. So we make sure that the students that we have are in the best position to see the result, to be safe, and to continue their journey to get stronger and better. After we conclude our warm up, we always ask how everybody's feeling to make sure that sometimes people don't like to tell you if they have something going on because it's a pride thing. But we make sure that everybody checks their ego at the door, and then we always give multiple options for the movement. So hey, not everybody's back squatting. So maybe maybe a certain percentage of our group is back squatting, and then hey, maybe others are not doing the back squat because they're new to squatting, or they have a mobility issue or an injury, and then they're doing a variation of that squat and still getting the result of the training and the stimulus without putting themselves at further risk of injury. So depending on the movement and the exercise, there's always a progression, and there's always ways to modify based on that person and their level of fitness and their ability and what they have going on with their body. So it's just something that I've always believed that has to happen. And we really, predicate our training and our systems under that philosophy.
Could you give an example? You mentioned the squat. What would be some regressions, some way that you would modify or adapt a squat so that someone got the benefit but didn't put either their back or maybe their knees at risk?
Yeah, so I think one of the best basic ways to do it for everybody is we start off seated on a 18-inch box or bench, and just have the student just start from the seated position and then just stand up and then slowly lower the body down and then stand up, slowly lower the body down. And that gives us a very good baseline of where that person is. And typically getting up that movement pattern is a lot easier than if you started standing and then have somebody go down. So we have them start seated, stand up, and then we can build the baseline based off of that first primitive box squat movement. And then we can assess and see if we need to add resistance or add weight. And then ultimately, progress on the movement from there.
Okay. Yeah. And one of the hardest things in the squat is getting people to understand that it is going back, sitting back into the squat, especially people that aren't familiar with it. So that's probably a very good way for them to learn the movement. You once told me that one of the biggest challenges people in general have about fitness is getting started and walking in the door. What motivates your people to take that step?
Well, I think it's got to come from within. I've been doing this a long enough time to know that somebody else can't make you want to do it. You really have to want that change internally. And sometimes it's maybe a visit to the doctor's office and, hey, we got to put you on some blood pressure medication, or we got to get you on this medication because your cholesterol's high. And maybe that's the trigger. Or maybe it's, hey, I can't play with my grandkids. I'm winded. I'm tired. They want to run around. I can't do it. There's a lot of reasons that drive people. And that's usually what gets them into the door, is that motivating factor that, hey, they need to do something, or the issues are going to continually get worse as we get older.
Okay. Now, on the other hand, what are the things that holds people back? Why do people know in their mind, especially now, that I know I need to work out, I know I need to improve my fitness level, but they don't? So what are some of the biggest things that hold people from making that commitment to fitness? So
there's several, in my certainly my belief is this. I think the first thing is, people are afraid. They may see some crazy workout or heard of somebody they knew that got hurt. Because nowadays it's like everything's like extreme. It's like the more is better, and hey, you got to be totally fatigued and lying down with your shirt off after a workout because you're so you have nothing left, and it's this mentality that like harder and longer and this, that, the other thing. And number one, that's not sustainable. Number two, it scares people because somebody who hasn't done anything, they see that somebody get hurt, somebody get injured, then they're never going to want to train. And what's scary is if they stay on the couch, the results of what's going to happen doing that is a lot worse than if they walk through the door. So I think, intimidation and fear is one thing for sure. And I think the second thing is past failures. And hey, there's a lot of things out there. Maybe it's nutrition or diet or fitness. And maybe that individual, hasn't had success. They haven't had the right coach. They haven't had the right support system. They haven't had the right training programmer. or accountability or motivation, and they failed in the past. And when someone fails at something, time and time again, they just don't want to do it, right? And it's like what I try to teach my kids: it's okay to fail. You got to get up, you got to keep fighting, you got to keep going, because failure is how you learn. Failure is how you grow. But I think it's those two things. I think it's fear and intimidation of what's going to happen. Am I able to do it? Am I going to get hurt? And it's hey, I failed before. Why is this going to be any different?
Okay. So how do you help someone that's in that state of, intimidation and fear and caught up in their past? How do you help, especially people over 50? Because that's a critical age, because that's for a lot of women. The kids are finally grown up and not starting to get out of the house, and now they have to take care of themselves and make themselves a priority, which is hard. And for some men, it's the time where all of a sudden they're transition their career and they say, wait a minute, I've been working so hard and I've got high blood pressure, I got diabetes, I got all these other things, and I haven't taken care of my body. And so how have you helped those people that are stuck in fear to make the commitment to themselves?
Well, I think, fear kind of works two ways. It's also, prevents people from moving forward, but you see, it also, ignites people to move forward in spite of it. And if one of those individuals came in, because we've had many that, hey, that they were afraid of, hey, what's going to happen if they didn't start making some changes and they didn't start eating better and they didn't start taking care of their body and building themselves up again, like what was going to happen, in the years to come. And I think that fear motivates many of us to move forward in spite of it. And I would say that's the number one reason. So yes, it can work against you in many ways, but for that small percentage of people that have enough courage to recognize that they have this opportunity now, that they're going to move forward in spite of fear and get to where it is they want to go, because they know if they don't do anything, it's a lot scarier than if they took that step and did. So it's kind of the interesting thing about fear and how it works. But we have people from 10 years young to 76 years young in our program, and the motivation is different for everybody. There's no doubt about it. And the fascinating thing is to see someone over 50 or over 60 that's never done anything in their entire lives get stronger, get leaner, feel great about themselves, build that self-esteem, build that confidence, and have more for everybody around them in their life. And it's a beautiful thing when the magic of hard work and passion comes together.
Well, perhaps you could share an example or a story of someone that got the magic and did get stronger and became more for other people. Something without naming names, but just to give an example of what the transition was, because I'm sure it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah, and we're upfront and we're honest and we're realistic with people and expectations, and it's one of those things where everybody they're motivated by something a little bit different. But I have several cases that come to mind. But one woman, she moved down here from a different part of the country and didn't know anybody, and had a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear. Moving to a place where she's never been in her life, didn't know anybody. What's she going to do? And she came in and she wasn't in the best place. I mean, a lot of people turn to eating the poor thing, bad things, and not eating the right stuff, and then get out of their routine because they moved. And this woman came in and she's had some experience in the past with training, but she just hasn't found her home. She hasn't found the place that she was supported and encouraged, and she was afraid of what was going to happen. And she came in and very, very intense, very stubborn, if you will, and but coachable. And she started to make those changes one by one habit at a time, one little small change at a time, and they just started to add and accumulate. And before you know it, different mindset, different mentality, lost a whole bunch of fat, put on a lot of good lean muscle tissue, and now it's like she's just a completely different person. And I believe that change happens from the inside out. It's got to happen within first. It's not about the weight on the scale or the changes there. It's got to be internalized first. And if that fire is inside you, we are going to do everything in our power as coaches to make sure we just keep that ignited. So we've had so many great stories of people that moved from other parts of the country, because where I live here in Northern Florida, it's a place where people love to be, get out of different climates and different places to retire or start over. And there's a lot of fear, anxiety with that change. And for us to build people up and to get them in the door and believe in them sometimes before they believe in themselves and see that change take place over time, it's one of the main reasons why I do what I do.
I want to dig down a little bit with your little story. And can you remember the change that made the difference? The change along the way where all of a sudden it clicked and all of a sudden the buy-in was more complete. People, they go through the program and say, okay, I'm going to give this, and they kind of roll their eyes and they'll do it. And all of a sudden, and they're going along and they're a good trooper, but that they haven't convinced themselves yet about themselves. And then all of a sudden, wham, there's one thing that happened that all of a sudden everything starts to align. And I was wondering if you could share that aha moment or what that might have been with that woman.
Yeah, and I think everybody has that. I agree. Some it takes a little bit more persistence and time, and others it happens a little bit quicker. But it's we're really big in what we do with motivational messages and coaching, and it's like that one thing you say or that one thing you do or that text message you send, and it's at the moment where that person needed to hear it most. And for this woman, it was just that block of, hey, I want to be able to do the things that I was able to do when I was younger, but I just don't think my body can do it anymore. And, as us, I look at that as always a challenge as a coach. Like, hey, you may not be able to move as fast, or you may not be able to be as strong, but you can still actually move quick. You can still actually improve on your strength. And the one moment that really clicked for this particular woman is she's very competitive, and she always compares herself to either others or compares herself to where she was when she was a little bit younger. And this one movement we do on the agility ladder, because that's one of our warm-ups. We're working coordination and agility and foot speed and things of that nature during our warm-up. And, coordination sometimes is a challenge, or balance is a challenge. And, we kept working with this one woman and breaking this pattern down and breaking it down. And finally, this movement that she couldn't understand, or she couldn't get, or she couldn't grasp the concept, or she didn't think she was capable of doing, she finally started to get it, right? Because it's practice and it's repetition and it's getting back up when you fall back down. And that moment when she finally got it and that light came on, it just really changed her outlook. And she certainly started to believe in what we were telling her and coaching her with. And that really just started a cascade of different changes, because now she saw that, hey, she could do it. Now she saw, hey, these guys are onto something, they can help me. And then she, went all in with the other components, because as you know, training is one piece, but you need to eat the right stuff too. And then magically all those things started to come together, because she finally got that win, right? You got to get that win. Sometimes people are just looking for that first win. They haven't had a win in a long time. If we can just get them that win, get them to believe, then that's when the cascade of changes start to occur.
Okay, that's a great. I had a coach that once told me, he says, winning is fun and losing isn't. So your job as a coach is to make sure that your people win every day. And
that's
sometimes wins, it's a little win, but
that's right.
But
small victory.
That's right. So that's now we're right now in the middle of this COVID-19 crisis, and your business is primarily built on face-to-face group training. And now you can't get together as groups, and you built a community based on being together. So talk a little bit about how that impacted not only you and your business, but your members, and what you've done to overcome that challenge.
Well, I made the decision early, and it was a tough decision. I had knots in my stomach every night on when to shut down, if to shut down. And I made that decision really early in this process. And, I had a plan, and I believe that, yeah, it's never going to be, you can't be the same as being, in front of somebody or with somebody, making that contact, giving someone a real high five. But I also understand that you can still connect with individuals. You can still motivate. You can still coach. You can still get the result. But we made that decision to go virtual very early. And yes, it was a change for all of us. And it wasn't always this seamless thing. And I'm a big believer, and you just have to be persistent, and you have to lead from the front. And we made the decision to go virtual. And, we had a few little hiccups because I didn't know how to do Zoom. I didn't know how to do these things. But now, after we got people on board and they're excited, they're motivated, we gave them now a schedule. We gave them purpose. We gave them structure. We're giving them the motivation. We're giving them the training. And we're giving them the daily challenges that, yeah, just because you can't be together with us, we can still accomplish so much, because bottom line is we're all in this together. Everybody throughout the entire world is in the same pandemic together. We can choose to look at it as, oh my God, it's another day in this. What are we going to do? When's it going to get back to normal? Or we can have the mindset is we're all in this together. We cannot change the circumstance, but we can sure as heck change our attitude towards it. And we're going to do everything we can in our power to stay positive, to remain hopeful, to control the things we can control, which is what we eat, how we train, what our thoughts are and our actions are. And are we getting better every day with our families and our loved ones and building on those relationships and working on our fitness? Or are we getting worse? Are we consuming ourselves with negative media and the things that we read? So we all have a choice here. But by making this change to the virtual world early, it gave everybody the opportunity to adapt together as one. And I would say it's been an absolute success for the majority of all of our students. And it's something now that we are in the new normal, and people are striving and succeeding and thriving, and they're still losing fat if that's the goal. They're still motivated like no tomorrow if that's the goal. They're working on their relationships. They're taking up courses, and they're studying, and they're doing things maybe they never had time to do before or thought they could do before. And because of the coaching and because of believing in them and providing that motivation and this infrastructure, we're able to see tremendous gains, even though many of us have suffered some sort of loss.
Okay, what was probably the biggest thing that your students were looking for when all of a sudden they couldn't get the face-to-face? Because there's, a workout is a workout.
Exactly.
So there's got to be more. So what were they looking for that you were able to give them that's allowed them to sustain their energy and their motivation?
So I think it's three things. It's leadership. In this time, you have to step up. You have to step up. And I believe everybody's a coach. You're a coach as a parent. You're a coach on the field. You're a coach if you're a teacher. You're a coach if you're a role model in any capacity in your family or your community. And I think leadership is first. People are looking for a leader, someone to lead from the front and take us through this storm together. I think the second thing is people want some level of normalcy. They want some structure, something to hold them accountable, some sort of motivation each and every day to keep moving forward, to keep pressing when you have those moments of setback or moments when you're ready to lose your patience, or you're doing something with your kids and it's online schooling, or all these different things we're faced with now every day. And it's that accountability, right? And it's that hospitality, it's that love. A good coach, I believe, is going to show you hard love. Sometimes you don't want to hear it, but deep down in your gut, you need to say it to somebody in order for them to move forward. So I think it's all those things, but it's the leadership, it's the coaching, it's the motivation, and the training. The training is great, but that's an empty piece. If you can just think that you can post some workout online and it's just a workout, yeah, maybe a handful of people will do it. They'll get a sweat, but there's nothing more that happens, right? And we were blessed to build this strong community of almost 200 men and women, and I say it to my people all the time. We've been preparing for this. Like, we just didn't know what we were preparing for. All the stories, all the motivation, all the hard work, all the training, the mental fortitude, all the makeup, month after month, year after year. We've never been more prepared for this in our entire lives, even though we didn't know it was this we were preparing for.
One of the things that is becoming, as we're kind of partway through this process where we know there's going to be an end in sight, whether it's 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, which we don't know. But, now, first of all, it was totally unknown. Now we know there's a little bit of normalcy that we have, and we know that we're going to go back into the real world of our routines. But fitness is only one component, and the other parts that we're dealing with, being shut out from other people, the stress of not knowing, what are some things that you do with your group to help them deal with the other components of fitness, which is the emotional, spiritual parts that also are a part of the person?
Yeah, so we're trying to connect with all of our students on a regular basis. Whether it's Zoom, whether it's FaceTime, whether it's text message or phone calls, just really checking in on everybody to see, how we can help them in any way possible. So it's keeping the communication line open with everybody continuously, and showing as much love and support and outreach as we possibly can, because you just never know. particularly now, what everybody's going through and how they're feeling from moment to moment. So, that phone call you make or that text message you send could have a monumental impact for sure for a lot of us and what we're going through.
Yeah, because it's the well-being, it's the well-being of the whole person that is being challenged now. I want to shift gears a little bit from your business to how you got here. Your road to training for Warriors and coming to Florida, wasn't always smooth sailing. So I wonder if you could kind of share what motivated you to go down this route and to align with this organization so you can deliver the kinds of training and the kinds of messages that you're doing now.
Well, I was one of those things. I never thought my family, at the time, it was, I'm coming up on 8 years, which is hard to believe, but I lived in New Jersey my entire life. That's all I knew. I never thought about leaving or moving or any of that. And we had my first daughter, and she was just about to turn 1. And up north, it's a different animal. It's nonstop. It's you got to really grind. You got to work, and we were certainly doing that. And I wasn't unhappy by any means. I was happy, but I just felt that something was missing. My wife and I just felt like something was missing, and it was one of those things when you have one child, it's kind of at that crossroads. Do you want to have more family, and or do you want to just start new and then raise kids maybe in a different environment or in a different setting, so to speak? And I was part of a different organization in fitness up north, and we had a lot of success, but I just felt something was missing, and we made that move and here, and we had a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles, a lot of people that thought it was a mistake. And, we ended up purchasing a fitness business down here, and it was a grind. It was really hard. And as I was going through it, I realized I was on my own island. I wasn't a part of really something that stood for anything. And I just felt that myself and my coaches needed more. And Training for Warriors was something that I got involved with from continued education, from books, from seeing, Martin Rooney, speak and present. And I found this certification online. I took my coaches up to North Carolina for a continued education weekend, and I realized you can become a certified TFW coach and have your own affiliate and license. And I started to research further, and it's just like everything that this organization stood for is what I stood for and I embodied. And, we made that difficult transition because it wasn't easy when you leave something that you were part of for a long time. But I just felt that I know there was a rough road ahead and a lot of obstacles to overcome, that it was something that my heart and my gut was telling me I needed to do. And it's been one of the greatest decisions outside of getting married, having a family, and moving to Florida that I ever made in my life. And it's changed me as a person, as a coach, as a dad, and as a husband. And that's what motivates me to continually do that for other people.
What does Training for Warriors give you that you weren't getting from other organizations?
Well, it's this unique group of people throughout the world that are just on the same team, the same family together. So, it's really unique, and it's the coaches are the owners, right? So a lot of, fitness companies, it's a franchise, or it's this organization where you never even know who the person is at the top, and you're a part of this thing and you pay royalties, and, you get together once in a while, but there's not this family-like group of coaches that are on the front lines. And what I mean by that is every owner of a Training for Warriors is a coach. So everybody in this loves it, lives it, breathes training and coaching and people. And we're all in this to help and share ideas. Nobody's bigger than anybody else. Nobody's better than anybody else. And the motivation trickles from our head coach, which is founder and good friend of mine, Martin Rooney, all the way down to each one of us. And so we have this gigantic network of amazing people on the same mission together to just bring out the best in not only ourselves, but the students that we coach, and the core values that were formed organically from different parts of the world. When we get together, it's like the greatest party you'll ever want to attend in your life. And a lot of people don't even speak the same language, but we all share the language of energy, passion, and helping one another. So it's just a really special organization that it's hard to describe or explain unless you're a part of it.
Okay. Well, I think we can get a sense of it based on your enthusiasm and your passion and your description of it. We're in a fast learning mode. It's learn, adapt, learn, adapt, learn, adapt. Based on what you've learned so far in this transitional period, what advice do you give your students that not only helps your students but might help my listeners get through from now until we get to the other side?
Well, I think it's got to be the mentality of, living moment to moment, right? And not thinking too far ahead, not worrying about, what happened in the past. It's okay. I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to control what I can control. I'm going to, have the mindset of I'm going to succeed in spite of this pandemic we're in. I'm going to grow as a person. I'm going to help strengthen my relationships. I believe more than ever now, fitness and training is so important, not just to take care of your body. When you take care of your body, you're going to also strengthen your mind and build mental fortitude. And then that brings you clarity, which is so important. And I know every time, we train, it's, hey, I may not feel like doing it today. I don't want, last thing I want to do is eat the right thing. Or the last thing I want to do right now is train. But I know that medicine is the best medicine I can take. And I know when I am finished with that training session, whether it's 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour away, I am going to be a better person because of it. I'm going to have more patience. I'm going to have more tolerance. I'm going to have a better outlook on everything the rest of my day. And when you can do that to yourself, everybody around you benefits and wins. And I believe now more than ever we need it. And now more than ever, if you're home with your family, they need it. So it shouldn't be something that you do by yourself. It should be something that you involve your entire family with, because when everybody's training, everybody's winning.
Wow, very, very powerful statement. We can't choose the circumstances, but we can choose how we respond to it. And that was a very powerful message. So if people want to learn more about Training for Warriors and your organization, where would they go?
You can go to www.trainingforwarriors.com, and that's our big global page, which gives you just a ton of motivation and information about us. For my personal website in Ponte Vedra Beach, it's TFW, PonteVedraBeach.com, and we have a big presence on social media. So we're Training for Warriors PVB on Instagram and Training for Warriors Ponte Vedra Beach on Facebook. But we believe that hey, fitness is for everyone now more than ever. We need to be motivated, we need to be driven, and we need to be positive role models for our families and the relationships that we have. We got to build people up and not break them down. And I think if we can do that and take one day at a time, one moment at a time, and look at it as like today's going to be the first day of the rest of my life, and have that type of mindset, then we're all going to get through this and come out of it on the other side even better, maybe in some cases than we were before we went into it.
Wow. Well, Coach Squats, thank you so much for sharing your experience, your passion, your motivation, and the message about fitness. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Phil. It was great. I appreciate it. Have yourself a great rest of your day, my friend.
I will do the same. All right, take care.
Take it easy.
You've been listening to Never Too Late for Fitness Radio, hosted by Phil Ferris. To learn more about the guests or resources on our show today, or to listen to past episodes, go to nevertoolateforfitness.com.